Salim,
All right, no interviewer, no filter,
raw.
just the truth. So maybe we should tell them about the story behind Decentralized Masters.
Yeah. So crazy beginnings. 3 years later, 3,000 plus members. I think we're at what, 3,500, something like that. 90 plus team members, 27 countries, and wild beginnings. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's go. So maybe let's start by telling them who these two weird bearded brown guys are, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say weird, but
A little bit.
All right, so let's first talk about you, Mr. Salim. So you were an engineer, right? Okay, obviously. Nerd, math guy.
Kind of.
You started in AI, like back in the days. So that's crazy. But you just gave it all up to chase what? Freedom?
Sort of.
You lived in a van for 3 months. That doesn't sound like you, but you did in Australia.
Everybody changes, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure you smelled as good as you do now back then. But
Probably not.
yeah. So you met this guy in Bali and he was doing what? E-commerce?
Yeah.
And he was doing $1,000 a day?
Yeah, on
I
the
think.
beach.
So you just got a bit like obsessed. You were like, I want to do this too. Went back to Morocco. I think you took some money from your parents.
Yeah, I borrowed like 2,000 euros.
And you got started. You were like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You were selling what? Like phone cases?
Yeah, first product was like a phone case looking like a Game Boy.
How did that do?
Honestly, well, like I made like 10 grand or something out of it.
Okay, so then eventually you had like big numbers. I think in France you had the biggest launch ever
Yeah.
in the tens of millions. So after that success, you thought, let me just teach people how to do it. So first experience in the education space in the French market. How did that go?
Honestly, well, because you realize education is the most fulfilling business that exists, because that's the best way to give value to people. When you teach them how to fish, their whole lives, they feel great thanks to you.
Okay, and then we met, and that's when the bromance started.
All right, enough talking about me now. Let's talk about you, my favorite finance genius. So while I was like building my e-com stores and chasing freedom, you were deep in the trenches of traditional finance, right?
Working till 5 a.m. every day.
So even before that, like you were born in the same city, suburbs, Paris. So I was more like the quiet kind of kid, right? But I think you were more like the rebel kind, right?
It sounds like me.
Yeah, you got expelled like twice,
Yeah.
I assume. But even with that, like you managed to have good grades all the time, and you secured your CFA and you passed all 3 levels of the CFA, 23, which is quite insane.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to me. I was just like, I saw a challenge. I was like, let's just do it.
Yeah,
And
knowing you, that's believable. And so you started to work in investment banking. You were managing big portfolios, but something was feeling wrong, right? You felt like the game was rigged.
It's not what you think it is. Like you get sold on investment banking, like this is the way, etc. And for me, as a poor guy, it was the ultimate goal and the dream, the American dream, go to Wall Street. But then once you get there, it didn't feel right.
Yeah, you probably just feel like you're taking money from people and putting them in like rich people's pockets, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have no impact. Like everything is just a number. It's not real. It's numbers on screen. It's not real. And you understand how the people in the industry, they're very selfish. Like it's clear. And they make it clear.
Honestly, I feel you, because the reason why I stopped e-commerce, even though it was going that well, is also because of like the mission is honestly even more important than like what you gain from it, you know?
At some point, you make enough money to think, okay, is this me?
I agree. And like, for me, it was like, I was visualizing myself on my deathbed and I was like, am I going to be proud? So how did you get into crypto?
So when I was in New York back then, I went to this Bitcoin conference and it was in 2016. I started meeting those nerds who were talking about, digital currency, and I understood. Like we're slowly going to move there. And so as I kept learning, I was like, all right, this is happening. And I saw real world use cases. Like I remember once there was this deal closing. I was at the lawyer's office. One company buys another, $10 million. They send the wire, they congratulate everyone, deal is done, champagne, everything. And I ask my boss, okay, so when is the wire landing? And he's like, in 3 days. 3 days? So who owns the company for 3 days? Stupid question, but And then he's like, I also asked him like, how much fees are we paying? Is the company paying? And it was something ridiculous, like 6 figures. And I was like, how much did we make as a counsel? Like working on the deal for 6 months, I worked my ass off, right? And he was like, oh, we make 200 grand. So I was like, okay, so the bank to send a wire makes 6 figures. We make only 200, working 6 months on this. And that same day, I sent some Bitcoin to a friend of mine, like 10K. It was sent instantly, almost no fees. Guess how much it would have cost in Bitcoin back then? For $10 million.
Yeah, back then, I don't know, like $50 or something?
3 cents.
No way.
Back then, yeah. And so I saw it, right, the same day. And it was instant as well. So I was like, okay, the use case is clear. It's in front of me. And then I thought about my parents who typically send like Western Unions and stuff like that. And they literally lose maybe half of it, before it lands. So I was like, okay, it's clear. The technology is better. So it will work. Doesn't matter if the price goes up or down, it's going to work.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And then you quit everything, right?
Eventually.
The golden path, but you're like, no, actually, this doesn't feel right. Knowing your mom, she must have been petrified.
Oh man, she was like, "Are you on something?"
Yeah. Honestly, I feel you. My parents, it was the same. Like they were like, "Are you crazy? No way! Like you studied so long for this."
Yeah.
And honestly, like we're men. Like if our mission doesn't feel right, we have to find another one, and this one feels right.
So how did you get into crypto?
Very good question, because people assume I've been in crypto for a very long time, but it's actually my second cycle. I remember I bought my first Bitcoins when Elon Musk tweeted about it.
Yeah.
So it was like the beginning of the bull market in 2021.
Midway through.
Yeah. Like, so back then I was deep into like my education business. I grew it, teaching people how to build online businesses. And I realized like, okay, this crypto thing, there's something happening, right? And that's actually how we met. So I had an audience on my Instagram account, and I was like, I need to meet the best people at this because this seems like the future.
Yeah, that's the thing you do well. Like trying to meet people who've done what you're trying to achieve. You go faster. I learned that from you.
And honestly, that's why education businesses are the best, right? Because you have 2 ways to learn. First-hand experiences, you put your hand on the fire and you burn yourself. You know that fire burns. Second-hand experiences, people tell you the fire burns and like you have the same result, but you don't burn your hand.
Yeah. Your mistake, someone else's mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have to learn from mistakes, but nobody said it has to be our mistakes. So I post that story. I'm like, hey guys, do you know anyone who's like very good in crypto? So a few people contact me, and one guy contacts me and is like, hey, I know this guy. And it's funny because we actually live in the same building as you.
Yeah.
This guy is Ben, your childhood friend, who's a good friend of mine now as well. And yeah, we
had what, coffee?
Yeah, coffee. And I don't know, like it felt apparent that something was going on.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes your good friends, like it takes a lot of time. Sometimes even like you hate them at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of my very close friend was like this. And some people it's like instant. Honestly, that's what we felt.
Yeah. I think we met the next day with some other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
In the pool. We started talking about like business, crypto.
Yeah. So
the good old days.
The good old days. Yeah. Because I remember you were going through a breakup.
Yeah.
And I've been through a breakup, I think like 6 months before that. So I've been through like that whole process.
By the way, you know that I never opened, like at that age, I never used to open up about anything emotional, and so it was the first time I was actually meeting a guy and asking him advice about something on the personal side.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
First time ever.
Oh my God.
And to me, it was like,
I'm going to cry a little bit. But yeah, like I remember that nice exchange because we were talking about that, but you were also like teaching me about crypto because for me it was like so new, and like also I didn't know anything about the finance world.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole new rabbit hole I was diving into. And I guess like we started to have that exchange. We felt like very early we needed to do something with education in crypto. But you had your businesses, ecom as well. I was also like focused on my education businesses.
You know what? I met with Nayab, so she works with us yesterday, and she was asking me, by the way, why do you like, how many businesses did you have? Talking about me. So I launched 12 in total, failed 9.
Wow.
There's 3 that won, right? Including this one. And she was like, really? But you're 29. Why do you never talk about that in your story? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't mention it because I did that over like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Working in investment banking during the COVID period. So I was literally sleeping at 5. And she was like, we all know about Salim's big businesses, like, you know, big wins, but not about yours. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I talk more about the Wall Street experience right before that. But yeah, so we both, you know, had that.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, I think it started like this. But even if we didn't really launch a business together, we started to party together. What, like 20-ish guys do, yeah. Very classic. But honestly, that's how you understand like if there is a vibe, because you and I were like too like whole as a person. So it will be impossible to work with someone you can't vibe, or like you can like, I remember us saying, like looking at each other at the beginning of Decentralized Masters, when we were facing all like this storm around us.
Yeah.
We'll maybe talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I remember just like we had that chat where we're like, you know, it's crazy because even if it's not working yet, like even if it's like nightmare actually, we're still having fun.
Yeah.
And I remember at that moment feeling like this is the reason right there that this will work no matter what.
Because we could talk about sports, we could talk about health, we could talk about nutrition, about
women,
about party, about all these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean for sure.
But also like if you don't have the same kind of humor, I don't think it's really possible to like see each other's face 99% of the time, you know?
So you wanted to meet someone for crypto. You met me.
Yeah,
we clicked.
Correct.
We talked about everything but crypto. No, we did talk about crypto a little bit. What happened?
So it's very interesting because at the beginning, the very beginning, I was approaching crypto the same way our members are approaching crypto before they become members, meaning an emotion-driven strategy. I'm like...
No strategy.
Exactly. Like chasing FOMO, watching random YouTube videos, talking about random shitcoins.
Or waiting for Elon to tweet.
Exactly.
Which is when you bought 1 Bitcoin.
Which was, by the way, a good move.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, like basically very, like absolutely no strategy. But I met you, my very structured Indian finance genius. So you told me the ABN system, and wow, like it was so much easier, honestly, because the problem with having no strategy is that, first of all, you're at big risks of losses, but also your mind is glued to the market. You're constantly thinking about it because you have skin in the game and your decisions are not really set up.
Yeah, you're making them on the go.
Exactly. So you have to constantly be looking at your screen, be looking at the charts, and basically you have the same life as a trader, except that you're not a trader. Traders need like years and years and years of experience to become better. 95% of them lose money.
And the best traders don't trade. Literally, they wait, they wait.
And most traders, honestly, are the most unhappy people I've met.
It's very stressful.
It's crazy. Like some wake up in the middle of the night, they look at their screens, they make some moves, they go back to sleep.
Worst thing to do.
Yeah.
That's not a life worth living.
Honestly, no. Like at the end of the day, investments are supposed to be a way for us to gain more freedom, right? Not to give away some freedom.
Right. So the ABN system gave you freedom and money.
And peace of mind.
Okay. And then we onboarded, like we decided to work together and actually like reveal it to the public and teach it, you know, to the early members. I think we launched best timing ever, right before the Luna collapse, right? when everyone's saying crypto's dead, Bitcoin's dead, DeFi's dead. It was not only a buzz, it was a bad word. It was like you say crypto, you should go to jail.
And
Right.
you remember everything that happened?
Let's talk about it, because I think we never. This might be one of the biggest frustrations of my entire life. What happened then?
Same, honestly. Like, so we worked like for a very long time, several months,
Yeah.
into like putting all this together,
Recording the video,
recording the
all
videos,
the teaching, all the strategy.
yeah, like establishing the whole strategy, hiring people,
Doc, DeFi doctor.
Doc, but you remember also Danny,
Yeah.
and who else? I think
Yana.
yeah,
Eventually.
eventually, yeah. And we launched.
Tremendous success right away.
Yeah,
About this
it's crazy. Like people are fighting
to get in.
right?
Yeah. And we didn't have the capacity. So we're like, yo.
Yeah, exactly. So we're super happy. We're super excited. We feel like we're really into something big and people need what we just built, which is the best feeling in the world for an entrepreneur. But then I remember the first thing that happened is our payment processor,
Stripe. Let's just say it.
blocks us.
Not
And
only blocks us.
even more. They refund all of our customers.
So what, 30, 40 grand right away?
Yeah.
They just refunded them?
And
No, they blocked the money. And then,
and they
crazy.
didn't even send back the money to them. They
Yeah,
just
and-
blocked the money and they were like, guys,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
And by that time, to launch, we had invested like several hundreds of thousands of dollars to just kickstart the company.
Yeah. So emotional pain, financial pain, but also it didn't stop there. Ads platforms, Facebook and YouTube, they block us. So we can't even like get more customers.
Yeah, basically, they wouldn't even say why. Oh yeah, you're not allowed to advertise. We're giving people education.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
No, but because it's crypto, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You're of course a crypto scammer.
Ridiculous. And then, who else? Then the bank.
The bank. That
Of
was
course.
the most painful.
Of course.
That was the most painful. But
Like we got debanked.
Yeah.
How many times? In the history of the business, how many times did we get debanked?
3, 4, at least.
Pioneer, Mercury, Relay, Wise. It's 4.
Damn.
And I'm sure I'm missing one.
yeah.
There was more.
Probably
See-
one little bank somewhere.
So we kept getting debanked.
Hmm.
And they're like, all right, you need to wire all your funds. Like,
And you know, it's like a very common thing. Like a lot of crypto entrepreneurs have been debanked.
yes, did you see this podcast between Joe Rogan and
Yeah,
Mark Anderson?
Yeah.
And Anderson was running this VC fund. They had like maybe, I don't know, 20 odd like crypto companies in their portfolio. They all got debanked. So it was a thing, right? In the last 4 years, they were debanking every crypto company and shutting them down, basically.
That's crazy. But I remember like, okay, so first we got depressed. Let's be honest. Let's tell the public.
So what do you do when you're down a few hundreds of thousands of dollars? What do you do?
You go to Mykonos and you party.
That's literally what we did. We couldn't figure out what to do. We were so depressed. We were like, hey, why don't we go on a Euro trip for 1 week
Like a crazy Euro
and
trip.
get drunk?
Honestly,
and forget about it.
one of the craziest trips of our lives so far, I think.
And-
we've had a lot.
And I think it grew our bond.
Yeah.
Because we were losing, right? At that time. Like we're like, okay, what should we thought about giving up, but we didn't. We didn't.
We
give up.
didn't.
We never give up.
But I remember, oh my God, the comeback from the trip. I think you were in Paris. I
Yeah.
was in Morocco.
With your parents.
And yeah, I remember seeing your face and you seeing my face on the camera. And we were like, oh my God.
So what did we do?
Yeah.
And what do we do now?
But honestly, we didn't give up.
No, never.
And when you hit a rock bottom like this and you climb back up again,
I think it served us to start with a hardship.
I think that's when the cockroach mindset started.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the fact that you remember the turning point was like, if the banks are canceling us, it means we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And we had this common enemy and we had to win.
Because what at first they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then
were-
they accept you.
So, and if you think about it, in the, from 2015 to 2020, they were laughing at crypto. From 2020 to 2025, they were fighting. And now
They're welcoming it.
they're welcoming it, they're embracing it, they're investing in it. So 2025 to 2030 is going to be the crazy ascension. And for once we can say, we knew it. We told everyone. So
So after that, we managed to find like payment partners, We managed to launch ads again, and we started to find good banking partners.
I mean, don't forget that we keep getting ads and
yeah,
shut down
but,
all the time, but yeah,
but it's getting better.
it's
let's
getting
say.
better slowly.
Yeah, slowly.
Because there was a big coming out of the crypto industry saying, hey, this is not normal.
True. And from there, I remember it going extremely, extremely fast. I think after a year, we had like 45 people.
Team members, yeah. And over 1,000 members already.
Yeah. And I assume, after 2 years, I think we were like 90.
Yes.
And more than
employees,
2,000.
right? Because we keep saying team members, it's confusing. So 90 employees, 3,000 plus customers.
I remember every week seeing like new faces on our team meetings, and I was like, wow, this is insane. What's happening?
The demand was, I mean, it's still
we need a lot of team members to give a service like this.
Yeah, I mean, the number of hours, the white glove service, that's the business we're in.
Now, honestly, like, I'm happy we've taken the direction of like making sure we provide the best human service to people, because I believe with AI, it's really the main difference businesses will make in people's lives.
Everyone's going AI. Of course, use AI to improve your systems, but the human to human interaction, the banking industry, what they did really well was that relationship banker. For example, Amex, right? You have this one guy you can call, white glove, and he'll get it done for you. And that's what we thought the market needed in crypto, and it just keeps paying off.
Yeah.
And we're never going to change that.
Yeah.
All right. So people often ask, what's next?
Very good question. So obviously the world is going in a very obvious direction right now, which is all assets are being tokenized.
Yep. Bonds,
gold,
stocks,
real estate,
everything.
This week, Qatar just announced they are tokenizing $500 million of real estate.
Yeah.
So this is starting, this is real, and people can actually right now make money with these assets.
That's why we called the company Decentralized Masters 3 years ago, and people keep asking, you remember people kept asking, why not DeFi Masters? Why not Crypto Masters? No, because we would have boxed ourselves when we know that everything's going to be decentralized and we want to be the masters of everything decentralized.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, an investor who wants to be wealthy instead of being rich, meaning needs to master all cycles, not just one, needs to have a balanced portfolio.
Exactly.
To do it in a decentralized way, you need to follow these new tokenized assets, which are actually like the assets that have been proven across history: real estate, gold, bonds, etc.
So when people often ask, right, what do you have in your portfolio? And when I say gold, real estate, they're like, yeah, but in your crypto portfolio. And I'm like, yeah, it's crypto in a way. Like, I make fun of them, right, because it's tokenized. But it's part of your digital portfolio, secured by the hardware wallet. So it's funny because people don't understand that it's happening now.
It's crazy. Like, honestly, it went so fast. I wasn't expecting it to be that quick.
Yeah.
But as any technology, you have the adoption curve that's always surprising to people, because human beings are not really able to comprehend how quick technology is evolving.
Yeah, I keep telling people I have 6,000 properties across the world. It's true. Anyway, okay, and the next step also, the software piece. Why? What is that?
So we believe, after now building a solid and curated community of almost 4,000 members,
almost, yeah. We're crossing that soon.
We realize like people have a lot of needs. This new industry is very incomplete, even though it's like extremely functional and it's extremely valuable.
Just say it. The user experience is shit.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you don't want to need a PhD in blockchain and like wallets and stuff like this to be able to make money, right? It needs to be simple, like online banking, which is already complicated, to be honest. Like if you have a bank which has like an easy to manage UX.
I keep getting debanked. I don't know.
Yeah, you have the cash under the mattress, right?
Yeah, I mean,
same.
On my wallet.
Yeah. Honestly, it shouldn't be that complicated to use crypto and to use tokenized assets. So we decided to solve that, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I see you don't want to reveal too much. Let's not reveal too much about the software.
But
it's coming.
we built a solution and it's massive.
It's massive.
Let's just say that.
It's the unicorn play. All right. I guess we're done.
Amazing.